we go, watching Eastbourne Borough putting on a show. Everywhere we go, it's the Borough boys making all the noise everywhere we go.
Good morning, good afternoon or good evening and welcome to the very first Down the Lane podcast sponsored by our friends at the Rainbow. We are 5 supporters tonight. There's actually a team of 7 of us, but there's 5 here tonight and we're going to bring you our views on all the goings on down at the Reach TV Stadium at Priory Lane. Firstly, before we start, massive congratulations to Chris Day and the women's team. On Sunday, they qualified for their second final of the year, which is the Sussex County Women and Girls Challenge Cup finalists, beating Horsham 2-0 with goals from Charlotte Gurr and Kelly Larkin. Add that to the league title they've won with the Sussex County Women and Girls League and also the Sussex Women's Challenge Trophy, sorry, a bit of a mouthful there, a successful season. Now we know the players that we've got in our women's team, they've been playing at high standard. This is the investment that Simon has brought into the women's team as well as the men's team, and it's delivered now his first 2 pieces of silverware, and hopefully we shall get another one at least. So a massive congratulations again to Chris and the women's team. Hopefully we'll be getting an interview with 1 or 2 of them in the next few weeks, and that'll be upcoming. So like, subscribe, hit the bell, and you will see all that as it comes through. I'm going to speak to Mark a little bit quickly first. This is Mark. Mark, you went down with me on Sunday to watch the women's game. I thought Horsham came to defend the game, and just try and nick a goal. Obviously, it was a bit of a 10 men behind the ball thing, indeed, but it was a decent game of football.
It was a very decent game of football, and the girls did very well. I think Horsham did a little bit better in the second half, to be fair. I think they came out a bit stronger, but yeah, the girls held it together and reached the final.
I agree. Another final. We're not sure of the date of the final yet. I have tried to find that out today, but we're not sure of the date of the final yet. But we will keep you updated, and we will be there. We will be filming at the final. So just going to introduce you now to the team. Obviously, we've just spoke to you, Mark. So you've been supporting Borough now for about 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, about 4 years,
And tell us a bit about how you first came to support Borough.
Well, my first game was the 25th of September 2021, where they played Braintree, won 6-0. So that was quite a good game to go and see, the first one to see.
But that's not your favourite game against Braintree, is it?
No, it's not.
What's your favourite game?
My favourite game was the last one of the season, was it, by any chance?
Last season? I thought it might.
Actually amazing that was, That's we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But that was a definitely an amazing game. But so I went down there and loved it down there. There's a good atmosphere, good crowd of people. I think in the clubhouse, staff were lovely. Again, met some supporters down there, so that was all good. And then just sort of thought, actually quite like this. Started going down a bit more often, and got the bug.
Yeah, and I know at the time you were having a few difficulties and stuff like that, and you know the part of the Borough family really dragged you through that.
Absolutely
didn't it?
did. I needed something to focus on at that particular time, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
No.
And it's just grown and grown.
Yeah. And of course, I've always felt at Borough that we are a bit of a family, and we're lucky with our new owners, the staff that they brought in, the management that they brought in, because I think that we are all part of that family. And I know Adam speaks about us being his football family, and that's how he refers to us, which is nice, and it's a very close knit club down there, isn't it?
It is. It's very, and it's getting bigger. The family's growing every week.
Yeah, it is
much bigger than it was when I first went down there.
Yeah,
for sure. So it's a great place to be.
Thanks for that, Mark. So now I'm going to move on to Rob and Cherry Quinn. You're a married couple. You've started coming to the Borough probably about the same, about 3 or 4 years ago, and the last season and a half you've been mainstays, been going to every game that you can get to, home and away, with the crowd.
Have indeed.
Tell us a bit about your journey, about your...
Well, we moved over to Eastbourne from Lancing. It was about 8 years ago. Yeah, been on and off. Came and watched the Borough a few times. But yeah, over the last about 3 seasons, been watching more on. And then yeah, is it halfway through last season we were going to get season tickets, but I don't know if we'll be able to make every game. Turned out we were going to every game anyway. Then when they released the half-season tickets, we grabbed one of those each, and yeah, we've been going ever since. Home, away, everything. So.
And of course, now is a good time to say as well that we have announced our season ticket prices for next year. They're on a special offer until I believe the beginning of May, where you get the super special, and then obviously they increase to a special offer, and then they increase to full price. So if you want to get your season ticket for next year, get down to the club. I think they go on sale in about a week's time.
2nd of April.
2nd of April, sorry, they go on sale,
Yeah.
and they're on special offer until the beginning of May. So definitely get your season tickets then, when you're down the club. So sorry, carrying on with you. You go home and away now. You come with us everywhere we go.
Caught the bug.
Definitely caught the bug.
Yeah. And I love away games.
Yeah.
Possibly more than home games. I don't know. I didn't think I would because it's travelling. It's hassle. It's extra expense. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely become.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely a group of us, wasn't it? But the group is now expanding. You know, I mean, we're filling up coaches.
Yeah.
You know, there's a waiting list for coaches now.
What did we take last week? That 50.
It was 58 on the coach last week. Yeah, so filling up them the big coach, and obviously some people are driving as well. I know Bobbie drove up this week. Right, as he was staying somewhere else on the Friday night. So, Bobbie, over to you. You're obviously our youngest member of our team, and you've been supporting Borough for similar sort of time.
Everyone else, well, 5 years.
Yeah, apart from me.
Apart from you.
But
no.
I'm not that old, really. But yeah, so you're about 5 years in.
5 years.
Pre-COVID just started, so maybe 6 years.
Literally just before COVID, and then pre-COVID as well. So.
Yeah.
I think it was still around as Mark as well. It was the Braintree game at 6-0 and caught the bug. I'm going to deal with that as well. Caught the bug, and last season obviously was a roller coaster, and I loved it. And I got my first year as season ticket holder.
Right.
And this year I got a season ticket holder, and so far it's every game this season.
Yeah, I was going to say you haven't missed a game yet, have you?
missed a game.
So you've got to get there.
I've got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been done before. I'm sure you probably have.
I think there's been a few. I think I'd done it 1 year.
Yeah,
but, I've missed 3 this year. I know you've missed a couple, and you've missed
I missed a couple.
2 or 3, as
missed,
well.
away games. You're talking.
Yeah, home and away.
A couple away. Don't think I missed any home.
No, I've missed 1 at home. Unfortunately, I was best man at a wedding, and I actually organised a stag do. Schoolboy error, but I organised a stag do for the night of the Borough game, which was a little bit.
You've got to look at this schedule.
I know. I don't know how.
If my girlfriend wants to do something on a Saturday, it's not happening. It's always on Sunday. It's always on Sunday.
That's it.
And so as well, just breaking news today that we've got today on the women's team as well. They've actually got a main sponsor in Bobbie Blossom today. Head over to the Eastbourne Borough website, and you'll find all the news there on the page. So there you've met the team. We all went on Saturday to Averley. That's probably where we should start talking. I mean, we'll see all the results up on the screen from last week. Obviously, we'll talk about our game, but we're just there's a couple of standout results there, or a couple of Dorking being beaten 1-0 at home to Torquay. I thought we need to talk about that. We definitely need to talk about Enfield against Truro. Enfield coming back in stoppage time with a couple of stoppage time goals to win 3-2. And obviously there's a few other results down there where teams are now pushing it. Weymouth beating Boreham Wood when they're bottom of the league. I mean, that's a massive loss for Boreham Wood. But of course Worthing won again, which now puts them 4 points clear at the top. And I believe you'll find they're now probably odds on with every bookie to win the league. So it's definitely in their hands. But yeah, let's start talking about us at Averley. How did you find the game? What did you think at the weekend?
First half was brilliant, I think. But their normal pressing, exciting football. I think the second half they kind of eased off a bit, like they normally do. They're winning, so we're going to sit back a bit. But
It's pragmatic. It was. I thought that second half. It's all about points now, isn't it? It's not about.
Yeah.
You can play rubbish as long as you get the 3 points.
Yeah,
Nice
and
to
I,
get a nice
and I
early
don't
goal.
think it's. I don't think it's playing rubbish. I think, we saw Matt Green come on towards the end there as a substitute, and we're utilising. I think we're utilising the players that we've got. We're utilising the squad that we've got, and I think when it gets to this stage of the season, we're going to see our upcoming fixtures right up until the end of the season shortly. But when it gets to this stage of the season, it is all about 3 points, isn't it? We just need to keep getting them 3 points, and we're never going to win the league on goal difference. We're never going to gain a place on our points by our goal difference because we're that far behind at the moment, and that's not a bad thing. We don't concede. We had a period where we didn't score. Or didn't score as many as we'd like, but we weren't conceding, so we were still winning games. To go 8 games, I think it was at one point, without conceding a goal. And I think it was actually 9 games in open play, because the one we conceded obviously was a penalty against. I think it was Chelmsford, wasn't it? Yeah. So but yeah. So you guys, what did you think about Saturday?
Yeah,
Pretty good game.
yeah, good big goal, nice early goal. That was good.
Yeah, little nutmeg from Jason.
Yeah.
Straight for the keeper's legs.
that's it,
I
yeah.
think we let him know, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Well, hang on,
know.
no. I think 4 of us
Yeah.
let him know,
Yeah.
but one might have been otherwise
Chat,
engaged.
waylaid.
Otherwise engaged.
I
Is
did
that
see
right?
the goal.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll move on. We'll move on. So yeah, so obviously a good performance. I think there was a bit of an issue in the stand. So someone said, and obviously, if that's right, it's abhorrent. It shouldn't happen. And I know the 2 managers were called in at one point over something that was said in the stands, and I just hope that isn't right. I hope that wasn't said, because it's not right. And we go to football, and I think we feel. That we have rivalry with other clubs. Of course we do. We're up there. We're competing for the league. So there's going to be that rivalry. There's going to be that. There's going to be that bit of passion and whatever else. But there's it's banter, and yeah, it definitely is a step too far. You're right there.
Sure.
So. Moving on to the other games, obviously Bath beating Tunbridge 2-0. I mean, Tunbridge have dropped out now a little bit anyway. They're sort of mid-table. They're not really involved in the playoffs or involved in the chase for playoffs. We'll see the league table soon. But I think, maybe them players now, we already know their manager's leaving at the end of the season. Maybe they're just, and Bath is a difficult place to go. We found that, a few weeks back. So, Western-super-Mare beating Chelmsford 1-0. Keeping the pressure on Maidstone big time, because there's definitely going to be a fight there for that 7th playoff place. And again, we'll talk about the playoffs later on. Chesham beating St Albans 1-0. We know St Albans are down the bottom. Chesham, again, not an easy place to go to.
Yeah.
Big result there. Dorking losing 1-0 at home to Torquay. Dorking, as we're going to see soon, have got a massive run of fixtures coming up. They've got some really hard games coming up. And I think, for me, this was a game that they had to win. I noted that Mark White said afterwards that if you could award no points in football, this should have been a game where no points are awarded. So obviously, wasn't the greatest game, because we all know that Mark White, although he's very passionate, but he does speak the truth. He does. He's very honest. And obviously, he would have been disappointed when he made that interview. Then we move on to probably, for us,
the best game of
the
the
game of the day.
The weekend, not even the day. The weekend.
Enfield beating Truro 3-2.
Phenomenal.
Now, as our final whistle went, Truro were 2-1 up, and then word got to us that Enfield had equalised, which obviously we were very pleased about, because that closed the gap on them. And then someone actually came up to me and said, "Oh, have you heard Enfield scored?" I said, yeah, no, it's 2-2. He went, no, it's 3-2 now. And I'm like, well, they've scored again. So, has anyone seen the highlights? That's the question.
I've seen the highlights.
Right,
Not
okay.
yet, no.
You've not seen the highlights?
No, I'm alright.
So, if people haven't seen the highlights, I urge you to go back and watch them. They're on Enfield's X site or YouTube site, whatever. The link's on their X site. Bobbie, you've seen them. What did you think?
I thought Enfield deserved 3 points. I think if you look at how Enfield settled after Chiro scored early on 2 goals, I think Enfield deserved to win it.
I think
If you
you're
look at
right.
I think it's Enfield's first goal. The guy picks it up from the midfield, drives, and has a go from 25 yards, and he has no right to score, and it's amazing.
I think it was a great goal. I think he did probably just shoot because, like you say, they were 2-0 down. But I think they were very disappointed. If you look at the Enfield players, 2 penalties.
Yeah, there were 2, but there were 2.
Neither were penalties.
I don't think they were
Not
penalties.
for me.
It goes down to referee in the division again. You question the officiating.
Questioned. I mean, I saw a comment, and I don't know, or somebody mentioned a comment and said something about, have Truro players always been diving cheats or something along them lines, which made me think, well, what's gone on there? Obviously, I watched the highlights. You three haven't watched them yet. Go back and watch. Honestly, they were 2 of the weakest penalties. In fact, one of them, the second penalty, he doesn't even get touched. He literally throws himself. He throws himself to the floor, and the referee gives a penalty. So, as much as that was a great result, I think Enfield deserved it. I think they could quite easily have laid down. I know they're 5th from bottom, but there is quite a gap there. So they could have laid down and said, look, let's focus on the next games. But they didn't, and obviously they've done us a massive favour. Obviously, Dorking had lost, and as we're going to see later, Boreham Wood lost 2 at Weymouth. So we jumped from 5th to 3rd. So we're now in the basically in the automatic playoff semi-final positions. But again, we'll go on to that. So Farnborough 2, Welling 1, bit of a nothing game for us. Hornchurch against Slough again.
Welling's boss resigned.
Oh, of course, yes, sorry. So
Stringer left Welling.
Yes, he did. He resigned after the game, so Welling are now managerless,
Season.
and probably, we wish them all the best. We've got a couple of other ex-players up there, and obviously we had Jaden Davis on loan up there, and I think. We'll all say that since Jaden's come back, he has been absolutely outstanding. And I think sometimes, I remember back in the day. So obviously, I'm going to show my age now, but I remember back in the day when David Beckham said the best days of his life was when he went on loan to the lower league clubs because it learned him his trade. And I think sometimes, I don't think Jaden was doing anything wrong before. He just didn't slot in, and we needed him to go and maybe get that bit of match fitness, and that was the problem. He wasn't match fit. And again, we're going to talk about match fitness later. There's a lot we're going to talk about tonight. But he came back, and he's been fantastic. He's been probably I know he was man of the match this week. And I think that, so then we go down, like I say, Hornchurch Slough, a bit of a nothing game. Maidstone beating Chippenham 3-0. We've just beaten Chippenham. We know what that's all about. Obviously, our one was 3-1. But Maidstone getting them 3 points, which again keeps that gap with Western Supermare that little bit, the same. Salisbury against Hampton and Richmond, again 2 mid-table sides really now that haven't probably got a lot to play for. Weymouth 2, Boreham Wood 1. That's a massive result for Weymouth.
They've had a couple of results.
They're pretty much dead and buried. I want to say they're 2nd from bottom. I think Avery rock bottom, but maybe there's a great escape going on. The greatest of escapes.
Right. So I think we had the great escape last year. If Weymouth do it this year, they take that title from us because
if anyone at the bottom,
I really can't see how they can do it. But beating Boreham Wood 2-1, we all know that it's a confidence game, and we love to see this. These teams, especially after us last year, it makes it more interesting down the bottom. So it'd be interesting to see how they get on. Worthing beat Hemel Hempstead 3-0. Again, we've recently played Hemel Hempstead, so we know what they're all about. I think that really puts the league title in Worthing's hands, as we know. And
They've got a game in hand as well, haven't
they have got a game in hand,
Hornchurch.
which they play Hornchurch next Tuesday, so a week today. If we look at the league table, they that now shows us obviously Worthing are in the spot that would determine them as champions. Us and Truro above us on 73 and 72, but then it gets very tight again. It's 71, 71, 71. And I do see a couple of sides there that if they carry on playing or carry on not getting the results, and that's Boreham Wood and Dorking, that could well slide down, and Western Supermare are playing very well at the moment.
Creeping in.
And I mean, when you go after Western Supermare, I think it's Farnborough that are next, and there's probably an 8 or a 9 point gap. What team is not going to make it? Come on, prediction time. Who isn't going to make it into the playoffs?
Make it.
I don't know.
I don't want to make it.
No. Who do you think?
I
don't want to make it, but I think that's going to happen.
I can't see Torquay dropping out. I can't see anybody dropping out, to be honest.
Can't
Well, let's leave the predictions for now, because in a minute we're going to start looking at other the teams' fixtures, the upcoming fixtures, and some of the teams do have some really hard games coming up. Saturday, Welling away, managerless Welling. Then they follow up with a couple of easy games, I think. A couple of games they feel they should win. Although we know Hornchurch, I mean, we beat them 2-0. Not the easiest place to go with the athletics track around it. Then they've got Hampton and Richmond away. Then they struggle. Then they've got 3 games there. They've got Truro at home, followed by us away, and then Dorking at home, who may well need the points as well. Then they finish up with Enfield away. The team that have just beaten Truro. Obviously battling, they may need points as well. So, I mean, I think we all agree the league title is in Worthing's hands.
For them to throw it away.
It's in their hands until the 5th of April, I reckon.
Well,
then they've got to start crunch time.
Even then, are you guaranteed wins against Welling, Hornchurch and Hampton?
Well, it is a fun fact for you. The last 2 times Welling have played the eventual champions, they've beaten them. They beat Yeovil last year, they beat Mason the year before. So, a little bit of a superstition. So,
let's hope they can do everybody in the top 8 a favour.
Up the wings.
Apart from Worthing, of course, and beat them on Saturday. They've got that hard run of fixtures there, though. Really difficult Easter. Us at our place at the Reach TV Stadium on Good Friday, and then on Monday the 21st they're at home to Dorking. So that's not the easiest run into the end of the season, and especially if the result doesn't go for them against Truro, they could be in. How do we see it?
Well, I reckon they'll drop a point somewhere before that Truro game.
I do.
Yeah.
Welling, Hornchurch or Hampton, one of those games. They're not going to win every game. Because that's the way this league works.
They do.
So they're going to drop points somewhere along the line there.
Also, with those 3 big games, are they going to play full strength teams against those?
Well, you would think they would. I mean, they're up there to win the league title. So you would think that they'd be playing a full side, but
I think they have to. I think it's the same with us, same with anyone now. It's that you can't rest anyone. You've got to just go for it. Every game has to be a win. You've got to put everything into it. Yeah.
And I think these teams at the top, especially with the smaller squads, and especially some of these part-time sides. We know Worthing are part-time. I think there's probably more with them into sort of resting the players. When you go 2 or 3-0 up, make them substitutions, use your squad wisely. We know they've got a good manager, Worthing, right? He knows what he's doing, and you would expect that they would be using their squad wisely. But we then move on to Truro City, who are in second. They're at home to Salisbury this week, needing to bounce back, of course, after losing to Enfield. Then away at Chelmsford, and then they have a run of. The thing with Truro, every fixture is a long travel for them. I don't think all their players live down there, but they've got Worthing, Torquay's. They've got Hornchurch away, then they've got Torquay at home on Good Friday, followed by Western-super-Mare, which is quite a local one for them, on Easter Monday, and then they follow it up with the final game of the season at home to St Albans, which they, to be fair, they should win, right?
Yeah.
I reckon their home games they win. When we went down there, I would say of all of the games that I've been to this season, that's the only game I think we were lucky to get away with. That game.
They battered us, didn't they, for 90 minutes, and we.
They did play very well, and to be fair, I mean, new ground. I don't know. You know, we've been down there. There's still some teams to go and visit. If your team played at Truro this year and you didn't go down there, really nice ground. I thought the fans were good as well. They've got some. They had some young lads behind the goal there that were. Giving banter, and I actually shook all their hands at the end of the game, because non-league football needs fans like that, right? We need youngsters getting associated while they can with their local clubs, because otherwise too many fans now just go off and watch Premier League clubs or Football League clubs. And the only way that these clubs are going to progress and are going to build on their crowds is obviously to keep hold of these youngsters, and they were good lads. I thought, we had a good bit of banter with them. So wish them all the best, but not that much.
Saying that, we got battered there. I'd say Truro was my favourite away. We made a weekend of it down there. My favourite one was going there. My least favourite, Torquay.
Yeah.
Long drive, put into a corner, can't get a drink.
No.
It's
I never went to Torquay. I never went to Torquay, so I didn't experience that. But I thought Dorking was exactly the same.
Oh God!
I hated Dorking.
We had Dorking as well.
Yeah, I think at least
we couldn't even get chips at Dorking. Let me out. We're going to get chips.
What, at Dorking?
Yeah, they didn't give us chips. They didn't give us hot food.
But Dorking?
At Dorking or Torquay, did we?
Dorking, we didn't get hot food, did we?
Yeah, of course we did. Had that fan zone outside.
I only got offered a sausage roll and a burger.
Well, you was on the pitch at half time
You
at
were
Dorking,
doing
of course, wasn't you? Doing your spin round the pole and making yourself a bit of a.
I'm not doing it.
And guys, we will find that clip.
I've got it. I've got it on my phone.
Bobbie will upload it.
I'm not.
And
it's not going on
you will see the.
It's not.
Bobbie trying to do the. What do they call it? The dizzy penalty.
I have a theory of that. Because you're going to be dizzy anyway. I think what someone needs to do is, when they throw the ball up, just go for a bicycle kick. Right? If it happens, it's going everywhere on the internet. If you miss it, you were going to miss it.
You got 10,000 views on Dawkins' channel, so I'm taking my fame.
Yeah.
Do you need money for that?
No, unfortunately.
No. I'm gonna actually. I saw what was happening, and I actually was contacted by Dorking to say, you have won the prize. You are the one that's coming on the pitch. And then when I heard what it was all about, I thought, no. Actually, I've got a little bit of a dodgy ankle. Confession time, my ankle was fine.
Yeah, I got stitched up. I just thought it was penalties. But then when I went on the pitch, I was told, no, it was dizzy penalties.
I'm glad. When I saw what you was doing, I'm glad that I'd made that excuse. So apologies to everyone for lying. But yeah, I had to get away with that one.
White line.
Big white line.
We're going to get to do it when we go there again, though.
No chance.
Yes, we are.
So then we move on to us. So we obviously are on a run of form at the moment. We're doing all right, but we have got some hard games mixed in between, some winnable games, and I think we have Farnborough on Saturday at home. I don't think that's an easy game. Then of course we go away to Dorking, my least favourite ground of the season so far. Stuck in that corner, and they won't give you, apparently we did ask, they won't give you around the backside unless you're taking at least 1,000 fans.
Oh really?
And that's the criteria apparently.
That's going to be very cramped then.
I do feel.
I think we will have a few there, so yeah, I think it will be cramped. I actually may, believe it or not, go and sit in the stands. I may say, I may have to go and do it, but I will still be noisy if I'm in them stands. But
I do feel they're beautiful though. I think they're unsettled a bit, Dorking.
Yeah, I think they are. I think
I listened to thingy, what was his name?
Mark White.
Mark White's interview. He weren't happy.
No, he
7
wasn't.
minutes of ranting, really.
Yeah, but I think sometimes
Not
that's
happy with the pitch.
he
Both teams shouldn't score any points.
but when you say not happy with the pitch and it's your own
I know.
pitch, I mean I don't understand that. I
He
mean,
don't like.
you know, that's
he don't,
open.
He don't like them 4G pitches, does he?
no, but it's your own pitch, so you know you would think that they'd have it right.
He
But
owns the club.
sorry,
He owns the club.
yeah,
doesn't he?
exactly.
So, he was saying at our place, it was too windy, wind down is horrible. That day there was no wind.
There
I
was
know.
That
There was
wasn't
no
a
wind.
windy game.
Once they come down here on a bad windy day,
Bob
was-
high. That was
Yeah.
bad. That was bad.
we've had some gale force winds down
Yeah.
there. So,
Bloke for you,
and to be fair, I'm going to say this now. So earlier on, I didn't sort of give you a bit on myself. I've been watching Borough now on and off for 30 years. I started. Well, I think I first watched my game when they were Langley Sports back in the 80s, probably mid 80s. When there was a massive rivalry. I used to watch, I live in Hailsham, I used to watch Hailsham Town at the time, but there was massive rivalries between Hailsham and Langley, and they would, the games, you know, Sussex County League games would regularly draw crowds between them two of over 1,000 people. You know, it was as big as we get now. And in a few weeks we're going to start doing a series called Down the Lane Meets, and we're going to meet some founders of the club, and we're going to interview people right the way through, from the people that are still here, that founded the club back in 1965, because obviously we've only got 60 years of history, and we're going to meet some proper funny people and legends of Langley Sports or Eastbourne Borough. So again, hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell, and you will not miss that content, which is probably going to come up through the summer to keep you entertained through the summer. So going back to our fixtures, where do we win? Where do we lose? Or what do we do? What's your thinking? How many points from them 7 games do you think we'll get?
21.
Oh, I love you.
Sure
I love your confidence.
You sure you're not drinking?
You're driving home tonight. Yeah.
21 points.
I'm not
He's
sure
looking
about
Dorking and Worthing in the eye. We play.
If you're right,
You'll buy me a pint.
I'll buy you more than a pint.
We got three
because if
games
you're right,
against-
remember
we got
my
three
bet will
games
be coming
against the bottom 2 and Salisbury just above them. I'd say that's 9 points definitely, but
I reckon
Farnborough are high flying.
16?
Dorking, Worthing, West Supermare.
So
16.
we've got a very
Yeah.
high 21 over here. We've got 16 there.
12, that's
12.
low.
That's very low. That's low. I think
Yeah, but if it's higher than that, then
I'd love to.
If it is, but yeah, if you like 12 points, where are you going to
12. That's 3 wins, 3 draws, and a loss somewhere. And 12. That's.
See, I reckon
I prefer Mark's 21.
one of the Dorking, Worthing, Western, one of those games,
we drop points.
I see us draw. I think we will lose a silly game against.
Well,
Well,
Don't say that. Don't say
One of the
that.
other teams, yeah.
Don't tempt fate against it.
That's that. Because we have done that this season. We have a great result, and then the next week we just go flat.
We do, but I think
I think at the minute
we're very.
6 games, aren't we?
yeah,
there looks a bit of confidence around that team for me.
yeah, and I think
I knew we took the gas off the pedal on Saturday a little bit, I think, but no.
took the gas off the pedal or the pedal off the gas.
Pedal off the gas.
Right, okay, just little reversal there. And I'm not going to edit that one out. So,
You know what I mean?
but I think when you look at our fixtures that we've got, we have got some hard fixtures. Luckily, we've got some other fixtures in between. I mean, but I'll say they're easy fixtures. You know, Weymouth and St Albans, who could well be down by the time we're playing them. Weymouth's a fair old journey up.
I think we can relegate Weymouth if we beat them, depending on how many points they are.
I mean, we went down there and obviously back. It was scraped to win down
August
there.
Bank Holiday Monday.
It was August Bank Holiday Monday. You're right.
Jesus, we were again.
and,
That one.
But we're
armchair fans.
we are. You know, we've got them games to go, and I just think that when you look at the way we finished last season, and the way that Adam and Greeny, who was obviously he's now his assistant, but he was a player last year. I think when you look at the way that they approach a season, they know that now is the time to go on your run. You know, I spoke to Greeny back in January when I was down at the club, and there was an under-18s game on that he was watching, and I said, you know, we're going all right at the minute. He said, yeah, we're keeping with them. And I said, we just need that extra little bite, don't we? And he said, why? And this was when we was on that 8-game run of not conceding goals, and we were drawing a few. You know, we had a couple of 0-0 draws in there, and he was like, you don't. Why do you want to go on a run in January? Because if you falter, which we've seen clubs do, you know, look at Boreham Wood. Boreham Wood were up there; they're starting to falter a little bit now. You know, you hit your peak, and I don't know what it is. I just think that our management team at the moment are building that team to hit their peak. Yep. They sent Jaden Davis out on loan at the right time. Alfie Pavey, we know, has been out on loan, and he's back, I believe. I believe he comes back this week, unless his loan's extended. And so you know, we've got the players, we've got the squad of players that are there. We've got a couple of injuries at the moment, obviously we know about, but hopefully, touch wood, we can keep clear of injury. But of course, injuries are going to play a part in this as well. You know, there's 7 games to go, and when you exactly, and when you consider, you know, that period that everybody's got between Saturday the 12th and Monday the 22nd, you know, there's 3 games in 9 days. It's hard. You know, it's hard to finish a season like that, and we've got one whole game there. But
yeah, well, I was going to say on that, of looking at the ones we've already seen so far, although yes, we have got the top of the table team, I would much rather be at home on the Friday and be playing away the other 2 games either side against teams that you would like to think we should be beating. Whereas you look at the other fixtures the other teams have got, they've got 2 very tough games.
Yeah.
Like a couple of days apart.
And I agree, and I think, you know, that's going to be the time that, you know, the 12th man, the fans really need to get behind the players, especially Worthing. Worthing will bring a lot. We know that. We know they're going. You know, it's a bank holiday. It's Good Friday. We know they're going to be coming over on the train and in their cars and coaches and whatever else, and they will bring a lot. It'll be a great atmosphere, I think, that game. But by that time, obviously, we'll probably have done another pod. We'll look around about that time, maybe in between the week of the 12th and the 18th. So look out for that again. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and you'll see the next one. But it'll be a much clearer picture then. Although we said that when we done our trial recording last week, and if anything, the picture got a little bit more muddy this weekend with people losing. The only thing for me, looking at them fixtures, we've got 3 against teams in the top 8, and I think we can be lucky in some respects if Weston-super-Mare's position is decided before that last game, because as we're going to see later, the playoffs come up very, very quickly, and you would think that if you're travelling away, or if you're playing a game sort of 2 or 3 days later, which is a playoff game, so you know it's going to be a hard game, because you're playing a team that's probably finished above you, unless you finish in the 4th or 5th, and then obviously you're at home. But you know, you would think that any manager, any club would be resting a few players if that result isn't going to matter. But I can't see that happening with the league as it is at the minute. You know, we know, I think so far this season, is it 10 or 11 times the league lead has changed? You know, everybody's been up there. Weston were up there. You know, Weston were up there for a while, and then they had their little drop down. We've been up there. Dorking were there. You know, everyone's had their turn at the top of the league. Boreham Wood, we all thought Boreham Wood were going to run away with it, especially when they signed the players in the January window. I know me and Bobbie were talking, saying that and it was unfortunate that we nearly got one of them players, but we didn't. Anyway, so nicely moving on to Boreham Wood. Oh. Wow. Next 2 weeks, I mean, we know they lost this week away at Weymouth, and after that is now the time to be playing Dorking and Maidstone. it's, you know, their season could be defined. Let's be fair, if you look at their last 5 games, there's games there that they should think, 3 of them are at home. They should think that, looking at them games, you think there's 5 winnable games. But the problem is, because it's so tight at the minute, if they don't get points in the next 2, it might just open up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
the other way though, if they win those 2 games,
then they're back right in. They're right in it. And this is what I say.
they're at level.
It is in Worthing's hands, but everything can change. I mean, you know, we know that football sites across the world have been saying that this is the most exciting league in world football, as in who could win it, you know, and how many times the league's changed. You know, you only go back 4, 5, 6 weeks, and you know the top 5 teams were all on the same points. You know, it's been a great league. Well, whoever wins the league this season, let's be fair, they deserve to win the league, right? Because you know there's some great sides, and you know there's some great sides that are putting a lot into it, and I don't know if anybody saw the podcast that Simon done this week, where he was talking about the funding that comes down from the lack of from the Premier League, and you know £35,000 that we get, and I mean I know obviously we get gate money and we get bar money and stuff like that, but when you look at the sides we've got in this league, we you know our league is joint 6th highest league in the country. You know, if we got 5 promotions, we would be a Premier League club. And you know the difference in football, and I don't know how we address that. I really don't know how we address that. I mean, I said ages ago that there should be a levy on transfers, and that's in all football. So you know, even down to our level, but there should be a levy of say 4 or 5%, something like that, that the top clubs have to pay. Well, every club has to pay, and it goes into a pot, and it should be separated out amongst grassroots football. Because you know, granted, there's clubs that get the money in and they spend too much money on players and stuff like that. But you know, you look at us as a club, we're lucky with Simon. But one of the things he said in the interview, and we know it's not going to happen, is if I stop writing the cheques, the club is bankrupt. And I think you'll find that that's probably the case with all the teams in our league. You know, we know with Dorking, who we're coming on to next, owned Mark White, got them right up to where he's got them. I dread to think what his wife thinks about how much he spent on it. I dread to think. I mean, he must have taken her on a few holidays, a few very nice holidays, to be able to get away with what he's done. He's increased the value of his club, of course he has. And you have to respect someone like Mark White, because he had a dream and he's pushed for it. And that's where I think we're lucky with Simon. He's got a dream.
100%.
And rather than taking us over at the county league level, he's took us over at the level we're at now. And I think we're very lucky with the whole team that we've got, to be fair. You know, the Simon's boys, and I know he said that he loves them being involved in football, because it gives him a chance to see them of a weekend. It gives him a chance to you know, to meet up with his boys, when obviously they're very busy in their work lives, so they might not get that, you know. And I think that's another thing about us as a club, where we you know, it becomes a family club, and we all feel part of that, right?
Yeah.
No, it's, as you say, with Simon, Alan, it's not just at work. Their families are involved as well, so it's not just a job and then that's it. They go home and don't really care. You know, they're fully invested in it.
They're there a lot.
Yeah, and we know we was down there at the bingo last week. Yeah. And all the family were there.
They were.
We got up and done the can, didn't we, Mark?
Indeed.
And we won a star prize, didn't we?
Yeah, we got a beer.
We got a drink.
Oh, I got the beer.
We won a drink, did we?
Yeah.
Where is that? Oh, right.
Did you drink it?
Did I get any of the prize? Oh, right.
5 beers.
But I was the best can dancer. So now we move on to Dorking. Couple of hard games coming up, followed by again games that they probably would see are winnable games.
Bath could be tricky.
They've got to go to Bath. That's
Yeah.
so hard to play.
No one likes Bath. It's an awful pitch.
It's got a big hump in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know Mark was complaining about the pitch at home this week, so he may well complain about that one.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait for the interview after that game.
He'll be taking a spirit level with him.
It won't be working.
Shovel as well, is there?
He needs it. And then, of course, you know, they've got 2 hard games coming up, 3 winnable games, and then, of course, they're away at Worthing on Easter Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. Could be a massive game. Well, will be a massive game.
Yeah.
I mean, saying could be, will be a massive game. Unless, of course, Worthing go on that little run, because as Bobbie said, they could, if other results go their way, they could have already won the league by then. So, you know, but it's some hard games coming up there. Some hard games.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, their first 2, Bournemouth and us. That's 2 hard games. St Albans and Bath, and Hampton and Richmond. St Albans and Hampton and Richmond, you look at the 2 that they should really get points from. But Bath, we found it tricky. I think they'll find it tricky as well.
Got Bath won 2-0 at the weekend, you know. So
never say never.
and Cheshireman, of course, you know, every team wants to win that last game of the season, you know, to get that end of the season out.
It's the teams that have to play for you have to be worried about.
Yeah, because they play for free and easy, right? And you know, go out and enjoy
It doesn't
themselves.
matter if they lose. Doesn't matter if they lose or win, unless you're fighting for top 10, of course. But
Yeah,
other than that, I don't see Dorking not falling off. But I still think they'll be in the mix.
I do. I think to be fair, that we know that we've said that unless somebody has a massively bad run, they're going to be involved in the top 8, and 7 of them are going to either be champions or playoff places. It's not like the old days where it was just second, third, fourth, and fifth went into the playoffs. Obviously now we have 6 teams in the playoffs, which is a good thing. Makes the season more exciting, I think. So there we go. Moving on to Torquay. Wow, quite an easy run in. If you look at that,
one from the top 7.
they're in good form at the moment. Obviously, they beat Dorking at the weekend 1-0. They're at home to Bath, away at Aveley, and we've just beaten Aveley. But we know, of course, Aveley were 1-0 up against Worthing on the Monday night before we played them.
1-0 down.
1-0. No, Aveley were 1-0 up against Worthing, weren't they? On the Monday night,
Yes,
and then Worthing came back to beat them 2-1. I think Worthing were all over them. You know, when we were looking at the stats of the game, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and you know, that's a problem that Torquay have had at times this year. I mean, obviously when we went down there, they beat us 2-0, but they scored. I think it was 70 odd minutes, was it? You guys were.
In the night,
you guys were there, and then they scored the second. And you know, looking at Adam's interview after that, he said, you know, look, it's about getting points at this stage of the season, and I'd rather lose 10-0 than 1-0 and not go for it. You know, so I think the second goal, obviously down there, was not that we gave them the goal, but obviously.
It was a lose 1-0 or try and get a 1-0. It was a nothing goal.
Yeah.
There was
and
nothing.
we were just on the attack, which we've done a lot of times this year, and it's worked, of course. Obviously, you know, when we've thrown certain defenders up front, I'm sure other teams out there know I'm talking about, but we won't mention his name, although he's out for the season. So I think he's out for most of the season. But yeah, Moose has obviously put his head on the ball a couple of times, and thrown our defenders up towards the end.
So that's it. That game at Torquay, until they scored, it was so quiet there.
It was deadly silent.
Yeah, so I wasn't there, but I was listening on the commentary on the radio, on the Torquay commentary. They loved our pink kit, by the way. The 2 commentators, they were saying it's a fantastic kit. So all credit to those at the club that got our pink kit. I know it was very Marmite when it came over. I love it myself. But yeah, I certainly heard you guys. You know, that I know there wasn't that many of you. There was only
68 of us.
Yeah, 68.
That was all
39 went down in the coach. 39 went down in the coach, and obviously some went down for the weekend. But yeah, I definitely heard you guys, which was good. But yeah, Torquay got you know, they'll be looking at them fixtures thinking,
Yeah.
we can get some points out of this. And they'll be thinking, I don't care how far clear Worthing are, we're going to chase them down. And with that set of fixtures, right, looking at where they are at the moment, looking at all the other teams have got to play each other, you know, all the other top teams that have got to play each other, you know, they're going to be looking at an ultimate, you know, getting in the second or third place minimum and getting that home draw if they can in the second playoff game. And obviously, if they finish second and they win that, then they'll be at home for the playoff final as well. And you've already said it wasn't a great place to go, and I'm sure that if they get to the playoff final, they're gonna make that the same, right? They're gonna make it as hard as they can for the opposition team and the opposition supporters, because they're going to want to keep them quiet. So now we're moving into currently in 7th place, Maidstone. Good 3-0 win for them at the weekend. They're away at Hampton and Richmond before they face Bournemouth at home, and then they're away in what is a massive, massive game to Western-super-Mare, because they are the two teams at the moment. If everybody carries on winning, that is the ultimate 6-pointer.
Yeah.
Western-super-Mare will definitely want to win that game. They'll want to win every game. And they're in good form as well. So that I mean, it could be a good game there at the start of April. And then after that, Maidstone, I mean, they have Weymouth, Welling, games they should win. Tunbridge, I think, is always going to be a hard game for them because it's that derby. Yeah. But again, you know, if the Tunbridge team are, I mean, they're at home, Maidstone are at home. It's their last home game of the season. You know, they're going to want to win it. But I'm sure Tunbridge, being that Kent derby, are going to want to go there and try and upset the apple cart a little bit. And then, of course, they're away to Farnborough, last game of the season. We know that's not an easy place to go. And obviously, still, I mean, Farnborough are in 9th position at the moment, and although they're a few points off of Western-super-Mare, if any of the top 8 do start faltering, Farnborough could come into it for a playoff place. I mean, it's looking very unlikely, but there is chances, and that game again at the end of the season, it could be a crucial game. I think last day of the season, you know, with us and Western-super-Mare, and then Maidstone Farnborough, you know, I think it's going to be one of them games where we're going to have all our apps open, seeing the latest scores, and yeah, it's going to be a very nervy day for a lot of football fans. But what a way to end the season! I mean, we had the roller coaster ride last year that you know we all loved, and the Great Escape. Again, we might lose that title of the Great Escape if Weymouth manage to escape from where they are. I think that will be the ultimate job. So finally, we'll go on to Western-super-Mare.
Wow.
Hard running. I mean, the problem is that, like I say, it's the last 2 games, home to Truro after going away to Chippenham on Good Friday, on the Bank Holiday Monday, and then they have to come and visit us on the final game of the season. And this is where, as I was saying earlier, if their position is cemented by then, you know, if they can't quite finish 5th, and they can't quite, you know, if they can't get to 5th, and that the 8th team, if someone does falter a little bit, you know, are they tactical games? As a manager, what would you do? You've got your players playing away at Chippenham, which is going to be a game that matters to them. You know, and if they manage to get, there's 4 teams there that, let's be fair, they should beat. Away at Maidstone's not going to be an easy game for them. No. We've already said that's the ultimate 6-pointer. If they're in that position, what would you do as a manager, Rob? Well, I mean, what if you was a gaffer? Would you rest a few and keep them fit and ready?
Well, after the Truro game.
Oh, I would say before the Truro game, if dependent on the league position.
I think the Truro game, I think that they've got to go for that, because at that point there's still 6 points to play for. So the other teams around you, you don't know what they're going to be doing.
No.
It's that last game of the season. I think you're right there.
It's just if one team goes on a really bad run, and we've seen that some of the teams there have got some really hard runs, and I think, confidence breeds confidence, right? So if a team starts winning, it's easy to go out and win again. Sometimes when you're losing, and we found this last year when we was in that relegation fight, we were playing some good football, but we just weren't getting them results. We weren't getting the rub of the green. We weren't getting that, we weren't getting the decisions from the referee, or we'd shoot and it would just bobble wide, when the keeper was beaten, and there was so many of them. And I know there were some people at the club, our chief executive Alan, Adam, the manager, they weren't worried. They weren't worried about going down. But I know something. I was, I think I remember we went to, I think it was actually Weston-super-Mare, the second last game of the season. We played them on a Tuesday night, and we were 1-0 up until, was it Weston-super-Mare we played?
Yeah, they were then.
And we were 1-0 up, and they equalised with a bit of a
scrappy game.
A bit of a, well, it was it was just one of them goals that went in when it could easily have gone wide. But there you go. We managed to get through it. But not an easy place to go, Western. So there's a few teams there, Hornchurch, Tunbridge, and Truro that probably aren't going to look forward to going there. And obviously, Truro is a bit of a local game for Truro. It's certainly going to be a game that you would think Western would want to win. But again, if the position is sorted, it just makes me wonder if any of the teams, to be fair, once you get into that position, do you tactically, rest players and think, well, it doesn't matter, once you're going to finish second. But I think, as I've said earlier, this will go right down to the end of the season, and I think the picture will be clearer when we do our next pod, which, like I say, is going to be some point early in April, maybe between the 5th and the 12th, or if not, we'll do it before Good Friday, so that it comes out in time for that run of fixtures, and then the picture will be very, very much clearer. So, of course, this season is our first full season with Adam at the helm. We know he came in and done a job for us last year. And what's your feelings? What's your feelings? I mean, obviously we had Mark Beard at the start of last year. I felt a bit disappointed for Mark in the way that he had come in and he had. I mean, I know. For instance, Alan, when he interviewed Mark, he said at the fans forum to us, right at the AGM of the supporters club, he said that it was the best presentation he had ever seen from anyone. And we all know that he's been around the game. He's been at Crawley, he's been at Millwall, and the presentation that Mark gave to him was the best presentation he'd ever seen. Obviously, the club were moving into going full time, and some of the players didn't want to stay. We lost a few fans' favourites. We lost Danny Glore as manager, all along the same time. And I know, we changed the kit, we changed the badge, we changed everything. There was quite a lot going on at the club, and I think it probably unsettled a few people. And that's why I was a bit, felt sorry a bit for Mark, because he came in, and I don't think he was bad at his job. I mean, obviously he'd been at Dorking before with Mark White as a coach, and it was his first management job. But there we go. These things happen in life, and people learn. And I'm sure Mark took a lot of, he learnt a lot of lessons in what he did. But then we got Adam, right? And go on, the floor is yours. What do we think?
He saved us last season. I mean, we were in a pretty bad position. We were 9 from safety when he came in, and then we went on that run where we won. Was it 9 out of our remaining 11 games, and we stayed safe. So Adam has a lot of credit and a special place for a lot of fans. And then this season, where he's taken us, we were fighting down the bottom, and now we're fighting near the top this season. So all credit to Adam and his team.
100%. And I think when you look at the form that we had at the end of last season, you know, to make that escape, you know, it let's be fair, at the end of the day, it was form that would have seen us at the top of the league. If
I think we had the third best form in the league.
yeah, I mean, we was right up there with the form table, and you know, and it all ended with, I mean, we were safe, but it all ended with that game at Braintree, of course, where.
Well, it was Taunton on the Wednesday. They lost, wasn't it?
Taunton was
Western met Taunton.
right, I think that was on the Thursday. Actually.
Yeah, because Taunton were playing
Tuesday. Taunton played Tuesday and then Thursday, and on the Tuesday we was away at Western. Went down there with Gaz and Paul, and there was a few of us down there for a Tuesday night. Like I say, we was winning 1-0, and then they equalised towards the end of the game. You know, it was one of them where we knew if we'd have held on to that 1-0 victory,
we were safe.
although we weren't mathematically
Yeah, we
safe.
were. If we won, we would have.
No, I think it was 5 points, and if Taunton had won both of theirs, and we needed to lose our last game by, because it would have, no, in fact it must have been 6 points, because it would have gone on goal difference.
So we
but
think
we
about
needed to
30.
lose by a load of goals.
7-goal swing each way. Yeah,
it was never going to happen. But obviously that was the game for us, and then I couldn't go to Braintree. I was in London.
You missed a great day.
I know, and if there was any way I could have got there, and believe you me, if it had gone down to needing to get points out there, I think I might have upset quite a few people by not turning up somewhere on Saturday. But yeah, it was. Luckily, we were safe, and
I've got to say it's one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
That was.
What, even with both your kids?
Yeah. Can you edit that?
Mark's kids. I hope you're not watching.
I hope they're watching.
Because he has just said
They were
Braintree
there.
away.
They were there. So they were there. So they knew what it was like. And
They was with you.
Yeah, they were. You can't see them in the boat, unfortunately, because they're small new ones. Yeah, the best.
But you don't hold back on saying that. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
best day of my life.
Well, Mark's kid, if you're watching.
Yeah, Mark's kids. If you're watching, I know you was with him.
Yeah.
But it was a better day
Yeah.
than when the day you were born.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right, just remember that Christmas is coming up. It's birthday. Just remember that.
Yeah.
So to be fair, you knew they were coming 9 months before.
I did, yeah.
That's just simple like that. Yeah.
Fair for that, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's just the emotion of that whole week, that last week, I think. I mean, well, not that, just that last week. Probably from when Adam took over, because I never thought, I'll be honest, I didn't think we were going to get out of the relegation, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I never said anything at the time. And I remember speaking to him, that's why I saw Imran Uchi on Saturday, because he used to come in the clubhouse and chat, and he said to me at Christmas, he said, we will be staying up. And I said, I'm glad you're confident.
Yes.
It's nice to hear the players saying that.
It was, and I thought in January when the players said it, you know, because I talked to a few of them, and when the players said it to me in January, I thought, oh, that's nice to hear. When they said it in February, I thought, yeah, okay, that's nice to hear. By the time they were saying to me at the end of February, I was thinking, are you sure? But we did it. Adam came in, done a fantastic job. And I honestly believe that with the passion that he's got for the club, alongside of Simon, Alan, Benji, you know, comes to every game, Alan's wife Kim, you know, their son Kyle, you know, they're all involved with the club, and it definitely brings a family feel to our club, doesn't it? And
100%.
And I know Adam's very strong on his faith. He's a devout Christian, and he's bringing something different to our club. And you know, when I look at him as a football manager, you know, and look at the way his faith, I suppose, makes him run his life. You know, there's something to be said. He's very passionate. You know, he goes out there with his hoodies on. You know, Jesus is King hoodies. And he's very passionate, and I think when you're so focused on something like that with your religion, and you know, it makes you very focused in life. It's like when you're, you know, if you're trying to strive for a job promotion or something like that, you know, very focused at work, and and I think, there's some people. I suppose the way of saying it is there's some people that are very tidy in their life. There's some people that are very untidy. I'm not talking about having a dirty car or a dirty house. I'm just talking about people that are very focused or unfocused. And I think Adam is focused in everything he does. And I've got to say, obviously a couple of weeks ago there was some news on the Facebook sites and that he was going to go. He was going to go and be a coach at a championship club. I couldn't quite work that out because why would you go from being a number 1 to a number 4 or 5?
Yeah,
I didn't understand that. So luckily Adam came straight out and said, no, I'm here to do a job.
Here for the journey.
He's here for the journey. And as long as Simon and Alan want him, then he will stay. So I know the day that I think Simon and Alan don't want him, the day that I kidnap Simon and Alan, and we hide them away until they because as we all know, we're all in love with Adam. I even so much that I gave him my last 2 Rolos on Saturday. I said to him, "There's only one man I love enough to give him my last Rolo." He said, "There's 2." He said, "Enjoy it." I love you twice.
But it just shows that what a great coach he is. Just good, to get us out of relegation and then now put us at the top.
Yeah, and I think
that's changing your way of thinking, isn't it?
100%.
Because you're playing different now than you are when you get out of
I
relegation.
I think the pressure, yes, I agree with that in the pressure of it. I mean, the pressure of that relegation battle last year, but Adam's a wily old character. I mean, he's been round, he's been round a few clubs and he's seen successes and he's seen relegations in his time, no doubt. Yeah. So he's a wily old character, but he's so knowledgeable. He's so knowledgeable. I mean, and he, again, we keep going back to the same thing, and I'm sure other clubs have exactly the same. I'm sure other clubs feel like their club's a little family as well. But we definitely get that feel at Eastbourne, and I think over the years, because we've got a short history, because we came from, from county league football. In the late 90s, we were still a county league club, and then by the end of the 2000s, we was a Conference National club, and it was a massive rise. It was a massive jump, and I think probably since then, I would say for the last sort of 10 or 15 years, we've been pretty stagnant as a club. We've been happy. We've never looked like going down, I don't think. I mean, there were a couple of seasons where we finished lower in the league than we'd like to, but I don't think we ever looked like going down. We looked like we were going up on a couple of occasions. Obviously, the COVID year, we were 2nd or 3rd in the league, whatever it was, and we would have got promoted, but the league was declared null and void. But I honestly see that the way we've played this season, the way we go about our work, the way our staff at the club, our owners at the club, and when I say staff, I mean all of them. I mean the coaches and everybody. The way they conduct themselves is
they're all approachable. You can go and talk to all of them.
Yeah.
any one of them, and that's the
They
thing.
don't avoid you. They just have a word, have a quick chat with
And
them.
on a Saturday, we go down the club.
Yeah.
Normally, I won't be there early this week. I've got a job to do at 11:30. But we're normally in there at sort of 12, half 12, and obviously the management come in, and they always come and say hello.
So
The coaches.
football family.
Yeah, exactly that, and it's nice. It's nice because it makes us. And when you see Adam's interviews, I'm sure that Kyle, as the interviewer, I'm sure he tells or that they discuss what's going to be asked. But at the end of every interview, we are mentioned. The 12th man are mentioned, and it goes a long way. And I think probably in the last couple of months, we've got a lot louder. We've got a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I think that helps with, some of the youngsters that are coming down. Some of the teenagers and the late teenagers. In their sort of 18, 19-year-olds, because they're very noisy. and you know, we need that. We need that. We need more of that. So, you know, anyone that's watching this that hasn't been down the lane, you know, down to the Reach TV Stadium, it's exciting at the moment, right? Why would you not go now? Why would you not go? You know, we are coming up to a point in the year where we're going to definitely, I would think, we're definitely going to be in the playoffs or in that top 7. So while we're talking about that, we'll move on to the playoff dates and look at that. You know, the last game of the season, as we know, is the Saturday before. These are going to be very hard games, especially the Tuesday one. You know, you're playing on the Saturday. You've got to focus yourself. You don't know until you come off the pitch at 4:45, 10:05. You might know who you're playing, but I would say with the way the league is so tight this year, you're not going to know who you're playing. Dependent on results elsewhere might determine whether you finish 5th or 6th. So you don't know if you're home or away. You know, there's some very long trips in there. Torquay, Truro. You know, there's some long trips in there. So, you know, obviously this is where the staff at the club come in, right? Because they're going to have hotels booked. They're going to have coaches booked. You know, we as a supporters club, we're going to have to, you know, pre-book or pre-reserve a coach but you know, we don't know where we're going. That's the thing, and obviously, you know, we will be doing our utmost. I will definitely be there. I don't care how I get there. So no, go on, guys. You know, there's the dates. You know, the only way you guarantee to have home games all the way through is to finish 2nd and to win your semi-final, which is on Saturday the 3rd.
3rd you get one home game.
Sorry?
3rd you get one home game as well.
Yeah, you get one home game if you're 3rd, and obviously you'll get the home game in the final if the team who are 2nd lose. So I'm sure every fan of every club is looking at the permutations. But again, we don't know who we're playing yet. 7 games to go, so much to play for. I might be totally wrong. I hope I am, because you know, if we finish in the top 3, I'm in the money, and if we win the league, I'm even more so in the money. So yeah, you know, that's how it goes. The dates are there. I think when you look at the fact of if you need to win your game on that last Saturday in April, the 26th, and you end up in them eliminators, whatever day you end up, whether you end up 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, you're going to have a hard game on the Saturday. What's your thoughts, guys?
I don't think we'll need the eliminators. I think we'll be in the same final.
I want 2nd. I want 2nd.
Well, of course, if we finish 2nd and we win, then we're guaranteed the home final. Whoever finishes 2nd will get that unless they lose.
Because I think the other team, we've got to play Saturday, and someone's got to play Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Saturday again.
It's a very hard run.
So we would have to play Saturday and then just Saturday.
But the thing is, if you do get into them eliminators, I wonder what strain it puts on you as a player, because you know, all right, they're all professionals. They're all in their you know, professionals at their job, but they're going to have a hard game on the Saturday the 26th, because it's so tight that everybody is going to have to win their game of football, and there are no easy games. You know, if you're going away from home, everyone wants to win their last home game of the season. We've got Western.
We've got home, so that's good.
We're at home to Western, but we've got Western, and Western could be looking for points to cement their places in the playoffs. So you know, just looking at them, if you play on the Saturday and then you have to play again on the Tuesday and then you play the following Saturday, you know, it's 3 hard games of football, right, in 8 days, and then you might have a 15-day break. I mean, if you play on the Saturday the 3rd and the finals on Sunday the 18th, you know, how do they approach that? I mean, it must be very difficult, right? What do you think?
Do they have a friendly in between or not? Would it not?
Something I've wondered, actually, if you would have a behind the closed doors friendly, you know, like in training,
nothing
something
too tough.
like that. No, you don't want anything. You don't want anything that's gonna. But it does, you know, it does make me wonder how teams would approach that. And I'm sure every manager's got their own way of it.
I was going to say, I'm sure Adam's got a plan.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure.
you
I'm
won't
sure
let
there's a
them be
plan already
arguing.
involved. There's Simon, Alan, Adam. They, this is going to have been discussed. We're not the first ones to discuss this, and I'm sure some of the other casts with other teams are going to have been discussing it. It's not the first time we've discussed it either, because I've edited about 5 times before this. But we're. There are the dates. I mean, it's hard work.
It's exciting.
Very exciting.
Exciting times.
Nervous, but exciting times. I must
It's
say.
written inside the shirts that success is driven by belief. So
Exactly that.
Absolutely right.
Exactly that. And I do believe. I honestly believe. I believe that we're a very good side. I believe that we've got the right team. And whatever happens this year, I mean, obviously, of course, we all want to go up. There's fans of 8 clubs at the moment, even 9 if you're looking at Farnborough. I'm sure that everyone wears their different relevant coloured specs. I mean, we have our red ones on at times, and something that was a penalty for us wouldn't be a penalty for somebody else. That's football for you. We're fickle.
Yeah.
We're football fans, and the only reason we do that is because we want to see our team do well. We love our team. We support our team. Otherwise, we wouldn't be travelling all over the country to watch them, right? So, very exciting times ahead. The picture will be so much clearer, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks. So this should be out on Friday morning, if I can get my editing skills done. So we'd be looking at probably getting one out maybe the first week of April. But again, subscribe, hit that bell, and you will be notified. So we bring ourselves on to some upcoming content as well. What we're looking at doing. So, I mean, I know me and you, Bobbie, are looking at interviewing certain people from the club throughout the years. Some ex-managers, some ex-players, and other people will be involved with that as well. We're looking at doing fan cams, making it more of a fan TV. Mark will be taking selfies with everybody,
Do you right?
as you do.
he does
every
anyway.
game. How many selfies have you
I
taken
haven't
this
got a
season?
clue. Just
Right,
There's
so I'll tell you what, we're going to have a
everything.
quiz question now, right? We're going to have a quiz question.
To a rough estimate.
We're going to make Mark do some work, right? So we are sponsored by our friends here at the Rainbow. We have one of these card games to give away with every podcast. So what you need to do, you need to like, you need to subscribe and hit that bell. And then in the comments, you need to give us a number of how many selfies Mark has taken with Eastbourne Borough this year. He's going to be counting for a long time.
Really is.
People who don't know Mark,
The selfie kit.
I would say the average per game is somewhere in the region of about,
20.
I was going to say 20 to 30.
Yeah.
He knows.
And before and after as well.
20 to 30, and that includes before
Are we
the
just
game.
including match time?
No, we're talking about in the-
Because that's it. Won't be many through match time.
No, we're talking about in the clubhouse
No,
afterwards
phrasing.
as well. And of course, the most famous one, which we will try and get an image of for you, is the one with the dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nation.
You love the one with the dog.
Yeah, that was hard.
So,
The challenge that was.
so mark our selfie king. So, like we say, average we think of around about, it might even be more than this, guys, so I'm not trying to mislead you. But average of, I would say, 20 to 30 selfies per game. And how many games into the season are we?
39.
38.
38.
37. Well,
37. So a quick bit of maths. If it's 30 per game, that means you have taken over 1,000 selfies this year.
Good luck counting.
Enjoy. Yeah.
We're gonna-
Mark's bosses. Mark won't be into work because he's busy
Not one.
counting selfies. But we will try and get that number for you for our next pod. So like I say, like, subscribe, hit the bell, put your number in the comments, and one of you lucky people will win. The closest person will win a copy of the Rainbow. So
if you get the exact number,
random, if you get the exact
you're
number,
cheating. You're definitely
Yeah, if you get the exact number, you're Mark Garner. Or
You're
you're
Mark's-
def-
you're
or-
Mark's
or
alt
you're
account.
definitely known to Mark.
Yeah.
What if there's two of the same answer?
Well, then I'm going to give them both a go. Then I'm going to give them both a go.
It gets
If
half
anyone-
funny.
if
Yeah, you get
anyone-
half a game each.
If anyone gets it spot on, I'm going to add £10 of that as well.
No, fair
So,
enough.
Yeah.
No offering people a five.
No, I won't know.
Having a share up, five for each, because I know what you like trying to take drinks. That will buy you another
Yeah,
drink.
good.
Right?
Just.
Yeah, no cheating.
Yeah.
But if you get the answer exact, £10. But obviously the closest
Well,
answer will get a
Don't
game.
lend your phone to anyone. If someone
No.
says, "Can I just borrow your phone?" They start
They'll
counting.
be there for a
They'll
little
be there for hours. They'll be there for hours.
And I need my
You won't
phone.
remember.
Oh, well, I need my phone myself.
So the trick is if everyone in the comments section puts 30, everyone's getting a game.
Yeah, so
Don't.
Because they're the closest.
Yes, yes, you're right. Until I see that just before we do the podcast, and I ring a friend and say, put 35. But no, I don't care if there's one of you or 10 of you that get the number right, or get the closest number. We will give you a copy of the rainbow, and you have now just did it. We're going to have loads of fun saying nothing, but someone will definitely want to win that game. So they will put a higher number just before our next pod is
31, 32, 33.
We're not going to tell you the
Just
exact
keep
date of the
going.
recording, so you've got to get it in, but it will be early in April sometime. So I've enjoyed myself, Rob.
Brilliant. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Certainly.
A great evening, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
So hopefully you've liked it yourselves. We're going to end this here now. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, like I say, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notified of our upcoming stuff. Like I say, we've got plenty of stuff to get on with. We're going to try and make this more of like a fan TV, not just a podcast. So there'll be lots of shorts, there'll be lots of clips of funny stuff, serious stuff, and we are looking at some point soon to possibly get something like a Friday night pint going, where it'll be done over Zoom, and we'll be hopefully encouraging fans of the other clubs that are either in the promotion race to join us, or definitely the fans of the teams we're upcoming. Whether we get that started or not this season, again, keep a lookout. Subscribe to the notifications, because we will let you know if it's going to go live. But we'll definitely be doing something for the playoffs. We'll be doing a pod before that, but we'll definitely be doing something for the playoffs. And I will be probably going to both of the playoff games, the eliminators, if I can, dependent on where they are. I can't do Truro on a Tuesday night. I had to go for a weekend. Well, Bobbie's just volunteered. Thank God for that. So
I have work.
Bobby will be doing the live
I
cam.
have work at 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday, so
We've got a holiday. Just take a
Yeah.
holiday.
I've
Bobby-
used my
If
holiday.
he's spawning at Truro, I can do Tuesday. But what I'm saying is,
I've used
I'm
my
not
holiday
going
for
I'm not going all the way down if it's Truro versus Torquay. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to try and get to both of them. So again, on the channel you'll see updates from them games. Thanks again, team. I've enjoyed today. We've got a couple more members of the team that aren't here tonight, but hopefully they will be here for the next one, and we will do some interviews with them in the next few days and get them out on the channel too. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and good luck to everyone in the promotion race,
Unless you're worthy.
but not too much. We need better luck than you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.